Hello and welcome. This is Rick Baxter with Cost Control Software. I'm going to take you through recurring sales documents. I'm going to do this in two parts. The first part is going to be a little overview of the product and some of the key concepts of what it's supposed to do, and then I'll show you a little bit of the setup. That's in this video, and then in the next video we'll take you through the actual day-to-day processing of how to generate your recurring sales documents. So let's start with a little bit of concept. This is the manual. You should have this handy. By the way, when we go through this training class, this is segment 1 of 2. I'm going to move this out of the way first to just kind of talk about some key concepts. The mission of a recurring sales document is to basically create, if I go click here, and here's my list of open sales orders, and I want to be able to automatically generate sales orders. Now, a sales order, just be sure everybody's on the same page here, just open up one. A sales order is going to have the header and it's going to have the line items of what you're selling. It's going to typically have a quantity that you're selling, and it also has the ability to have a quantity to ship. So you can actually ship a partial with a sales order. Now that's a little different than a sales invoice. So I'm going to exit out of here. Let's go take a look at a sales invoice just so that you understand the difference. I've only got one in my sample, but this will give you a sense for what it is. So this is our sales invoice. This one actually doesn't even have a line. Let me just go ahead and put something in. So we'll invoice for one of our items, 70,000. And here we go. It's a side panel. And I'll put in a quantity of 2. There we go. And it brings in the $47.30 price. Okay, so I'm basically getting ready to invoice a customer for two side panels. You'll notice when I slide to the right, there is no ability to put in a shipment. All I can do when I post a sales invoice is basically ship those two, or bill for those two, or if this is a service instead of a product, then I'm just basically doing that billing. So and the reason I'm mentioning this is because when you set up, I don't need to post this, when you set up your recurring documents, you need to decide which you want to create. We've got the software designed so that you can create sales invoices automatically into this list so that you can just post them, or you can set up sales orders, which gives you, and there's a bigger list in my sample, but it's very similar. But the sales order allows for partial shipments. Now you certainly can do a complete shipment, but it allows for a partial shipment if you're in the type of business where you need that functionality. So when we go into set up, and that's where we're actually going to pretty much go now, to setting up the recurring documents, there's two types. There's a recurring sales order, and there's a recurring sales invoice. And either one of them can generate those master documents. So what we're going to be doing is creating the either sales order masters or sales invoice masters from these recurring. And the concept of the recurring, of course, is it happens, let's say, every month you're going to send out a bill to the customer, maybe for some service or maintenance contract that you have with that customer, or whatever it might be, that it's on either a monthly, a weekly, a quarterly, a yearly, whatever basis it is. You want to be able to generate the appropriate document. So that's why we call these recurring sales documents. Now, unfortunately, one of the first things you have to do is do some setups. So I've covered a little bit about the application. You can read it more here, but I'm going to move down to our setup, the installation. By the way, the installation should have already been done for you. If not, please call the office and let us assist you with that process. It should go fairly quickly. And we've got our phone number in the manual as well. And if you don't have this manual, give us a call at the office and certainly request the the user manual for recurring sales documents. The version I'm going to be showing here today is the NAV 2017 release, very new release here. So we've got the most current version of the software. And I imagine once 2018, 2019 comes out, there will be very minimal changes. So this video should work for future and, quite frankly, even past releases as well. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is go to the recurring documents setup area, which is in the departments. Typically go to the departments sales and marketing, and you'll see recurring documents right about here, and you'll see a choice for setup. And let me just take you through that. I guess I might as well just give you a little extra time, and let's just go here to the departments, and I want to go to the, so it's similar to what you're seeing. So you should see something like this. You'll go into sales and marketing, or actually there it is right there, recurring documents, and we'll want to go into this choice here, setup. You can also get to it from administration, recurring documents, setup, either place. It will take you to this setup screen. So mine's already set up. Yours may come in blank. If it does, I'm going to kind of walk you through the settings that I've got, and we've got samples in your manual. Let me just double check that. Yes, we've got samples, and I'm just going to kind of point out some of these as we go. So these first two are the two masters that I was referring to, the sales master, recurring master for sales orders, and the recurring master for invoices. So this is RMOs and RMIs, depending on which you are generating, whether you're generating an invoice or a sales order. Now, when you do the sales order, do realize you'll have to do a secondary step, which is to ship and invoice the product. Okay, so let me just kind of review the sales orders. The sales invoices are pretty much the same. If I open this up, it'll take me to the number series. If you're not familiar with this area, I advise to get your NAV system administrator to help you with this part of the software. The RMO, I've got this set up as recurring master orders. If we look at the advanced, I can see here that it does have a number series already set up. If yours do not, you just simply go to the lines and you'll put in what the starting number is. I used RMO-0001, and the last date used, I did this the other day, and the last number RMO01, and I increment by 1, so it'll go 02, 03, 04. If you want to go by 10 or 20, you can do that. I just typically go 1, and I usually don't put an ending number. I usually let it just go on and on and on and on, and it will just continually increase from there. And I doubt if you'll have this many masters. I mean, this is what, 99,000 recurring, so you may want to use a little smaller number of digits there, depending on how many masters you will actually have. Okay, and then of course the same thing would be true for your recurring master invoices. If we look at the lines there, I've got mine started at 01 as well. At this stage, I don't have any that have occurred. Otherwise, I would see a last use. So I've just installed the software here on my system, and so this will actually look pretty similar to the way yours will probably look as well. Okay, so you'll want to set those up, and then you'll also set up the numbers that you want to do when you create a recurring sales order and a recurring sales invoice, and they are just down the screen here a little bit. Here is the sales invoice, and I've used, if we look at the lines, it's RSI 001. You know, you can just use whatever code you want, or this could just be a pure number if you prefer to do that. But putting the RSI kind of gives you a little indication of the difference of where these documents are coming from when it generates the sales order number. I kind of like having those numbers in there. You'll see that when I run the process. Just kind of reviewing some of the setups here to begin with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to change any of those. You'll need to put all 4 of those in on your system. I would pause the video if you need to, or go through it in the book. We've got a fairly good description right in the book for you as well. There is some default status copied, so when you create a when you create the sales order, it comes in as an open order, and same for the sales invoices. I like them just to come in as open status as well. Now, if you want to use dimensions, then you would want to say use the recurring document dimensions or the line dimensions if you want those to come in as well. So you would have those checked like that. Okay, and that's about it. Let me see if there's anything else I want to mention. I'm just going to look in the manual here real quick. Default statuses, yeah, I've covered that. Recurring documents. Oh yeah, there's one other little thing that you might want to do. So if you want, so if I go here, recurring documents, and you go to the list, here's the recurring master orders and recurring master invoices. I like to have these choices on my role center rather than back here in the departments menu. So if you simply right click it, you've got an option to add it to the navigation pane. So I would just, on both of these, if you're going to be using both or whichever one you think's appropriate for your business model, just choose this choice here, add to the navigation pane. And what that does, I've already done it on mine, but what that does is back here on the role center, let's go back to the role center, you'll see right there I've got the recurring master orders and the recurring master invoices as a menu choice right on my role center. I'm using the sales order processor role center. You may have your own role center, but even if you do, you can add those choices directly to your menu. Okay, and let me see if there's anything else I want to mention. That's pretty much it. So that should have us all set to start generating our first recurring documents, and I'm going to take you through that in the next video. There are a few extra comments in your book, but definitely want to read the manual. It should correspond pretty closely to what I've covered here. You've got a little homework to do to set these things up, but get that done before you go and watch the next learning segment. Thanks so much.